Good evening and welcome everybody to tonight's Zoom call. My name is Maria Jones and I am a 1988 graduate from the Howard University School of Communications. The Capstone Group is pleased to bring you this event. We'll tell you more about the Capstone in a few minutes. The purpose of our Zoom calls are to illuminate and to highlight the good works and the outstanding achievements of Howard University alums, faculty, staff, community, and students. And tonight in particular, we are happy to provide a respite from the frightening pandemic that we are all being impacted by. In fact, I'd like us to just take a moment of silence for family and friends who have passed as a result of this. So, if you would. Right. This is our fourth Zoom event of 2020. We've been producing these Zoom events since August of 2018, and that was our inception of this organization. And our guests have included E. Ethelbert Miller, Shirikiana Garima, Tony Blackman, and a couple of weeks ago, we've had a distinguished panel of health experts that explored the impact of COVID-19 on the African American community. Tonight, we'll talk with HU alum and professional coach Towanna Burrous about how we can reposition ourselves during this pandemic. She's going to provide lots of great insights. But first, let me share with you the agenda, tonight's agenda. And I want to say this call is being recorded and the views of our featured guests are not necessarily those of the Capstone Group. Okay, so after the welcome, let's see, we will hear from Alphonse McCullough, and he'll tell us a bit about the mission and the goals of Capstone Group. That will be followed by Shawanda Tachalana, who will introduce our guest speaker. Next slide. We'll hear from our featured guest, Dr. Towanna Burrous. We'll have a call for membership by Raina Coxum, and then we'll hear from Dr. LaPointe, who will give us the upcoming Capstone event. All right. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to my brother, Alphonse McCullough, who will tell you a little bit about the Capstone.
Hi, and good evening. Just lost my visual for a second, but good evening. My name is Alphonse McCullough. I am Howard University, really second generation. My folks were there in the late 60s and early 70s, Howard University School of Fine Arts. And I want to tell you a little bit about the Capstone Group and our mission and our goals. The Capstone Group was founded in response to the 2018 student uprising. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization comprised of a dynamic collaborative of vested stakeholders that include Howard University alumni, faculty members, staff, students, and community members who are focused on the fundamental goal of promoting holistic accountability and transparency across the university's ecosystem. The Capstone Group is committed to ensuring that Howard University continues to fulfill its legacy of institutional greatness as a world leader in research, arts, culture, science, and innovation. The Capstone Group makes awards to former and current Howard University staff. We will award scholarships to Howard University students. We will award grants to Howard University faculty. We promote community and Howard University initiatives. The Capstone Group grooms and supports progressive trustee nominees for HU Trustee Board, and the Capstone Group will donate to HU programs that align with the core values of the Capstone Group.
I'm Shawanda Tachalana, and I am hosting this discussion with Towanna Burrous. I'm a charter member of the Capstone Group.
I'll go next. I mean, I just finished talking.
Okay.
But Alphonse McCullough, I am also a charter member of the Capstone Group.
Hi, I am Velma LaPointe, longtime professor at Howard University and a member of the core Capstone, HU Capstone Group.
I'm Sonia Smith, also longtime faculty member at Howard in Department of Mechanical Engineering and a charter member of the Capstone Group and a member of the core.
Hello.
Oaksum. I'm a graduate of Howard in 1999. I also worked at Howard in the School of Education. I'm happy to be here.
I'm Saquon Shah. I'm the VP of Capstone, and I'm a Howard alumni, and I graduated 2017, studied psychology, minor in sociology.
Tony McEachern, three-time graduate, Howard University, former chair of the art department in the Division of Fine Arts, and actually born in Freedman's. Currently, our newly elected secretary for Capstone.
I am a core member and founding member of the Capstone Group. I'm proud of it, and this is a wonderful group to be a part of. It's becoming stronger, it's becoming strengthened, and we look forward to these public Zoom events. They're great.
Claudette Johnson. I'm a graduate of Howard University and a member of the Capstone core team. Welcoming Towanna as an alum and a great friend who's willing to come out and share with us her professional insights. So thank you everyone for participating this evening.
Thanks, Claudette. Well, Capstone listeners, let's meet our guest presenter for this timely discussion. Dr. Towanna Burrous, President, Coach Diversity Institute, is an International Coach Federation, ICF, Professional Certified Coach, PCC, based in Washington, D.C. As a much sought-after executive coach, Towanna's mission is to empower diverse communities through executive coaching. Her role is to test, retest, and ultimately drive an organization's overarching vision, strategy, and tactical direction. The Coach Diversity team delivers training and curriculum for coaches to be and customized diversity and leadership programs for corporate and individual clients. Towanna has spent the past 28 years in both the federal government and the private sector that has led her to serving a broad range of business executives, sales, and IT, information technology, professionals. She delivers custom keynotes, coaching and training programs designed to assist organizations in their efforts to equip their leaders and key contributors with the skills and competencies needed to excel in today's challenging business environment. She uses her expertise helping businesses shape corporate strategies that produce positive bottom-line benefits. Towanna is a trusted partner and problem solver for many clients tackling morale, employee retention, employee engagement, training, and development in the post-recession world. As the founder of the Black Life Coaches Network, she has helped over 600 life coaches, counselors, and therapists from the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, and South Africa. Towanna holds a Master of Science in Education from the University of Pennsylvania, a Doctor of Divinity from Eldon Solutions College of Ministry, and a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Howard University. Towanna is currently in the process of earning a doctorate of education from the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Burrous, welcome to the Capstone Group Zoom conference.
I want to thank Claudette Berry, who is, yes, a long-term friend. I am so glad and I'm honored that she would even consider me to be a part of this, this community of wonderful HU alum. You guys, first of all, will do anything when it comes to Howard. You know, we get frustrated and we get challenged in life, but I tell you, when you get a phone call to say, I need you to come talk to HU family and friends, there's no question that that's stuff you make time for. So first, I want to thank Claudette for that. And I appreciate you, sister, for considering me for this opportunity. I tell you, and I've gotten to know Maria and Shawande, so we're just kind of like all getting to know each other, but I really am truly class of 92. I graduated from arts and science as a chemist and mathematician. So that explains my background in technology and my journey from the science bench all the way into IT. And then, of course, pursuing my professional development that led me up the management track to professional development, where working on the bench, doing experiments and working in the technical aspects of my profession, the higher you go up, the less you work with the actual widgets and or the materials, and you start working with people. So I fell in love with working with people. And so when I discovered that professional development was a natural transition for me. It was because I started to find hidden talent within the organizations. Hidden talent, untapped talent, and typically that talent were people of color, of course. We're talking about looking for people that were not commonly found and or called upon. So it became a natural passion for me to work with a community of people that have been hidden but yet were brilliant. And so I started my work and a management consultancy after I decided to take the package during the big recession, or they call the Great Recession of 07, 08. So we're going to talk about our ability to reposition ourselves during and after a crisis, right? So right now the crisis is COVID-19. So many of us are old enough to have experienced several crises or several recessions. And when you look at what we experienced as in our younger years as children, how it impacted our families, what we observed in our families, all the way up to where we are today. So if you navigated through the Great Recession of 07, 08, some of us can reflect on what it is that we did to position ourselves again after that crisis was over. So some of us were safe and comfortable and didn't have to worry about anything. Others of us took the package and or were forced out, okay? Because we were experiencing different things in different seasons. And so with that in mind, I would like to, one, reference where we come from for those of you who've had past experience, as well as where we are today. What can we learn from the past? And what can we do to position ourselves in our current state as we prepare for a future state? So I am a highly engaged type of, speaker and trainer. I train in the coaching skill set. We are actually in partnership with Howard, and we host our coach training and certification with Howard University School of Business. So I like engagement. So if those of you who know how to use the raise your hand feature on Zoom, I would really appreciate it when I call for Q&A that you use that feature so that we can stay connected. If you're off camera, you want to join on camera so I can visually see you raise your hand, I would greatly appreciate that, because there are a number of things that I do. As an executive coach, what's important as an executive coach is for me to ask questions and then I get a response. So that's where the engagement comes in. So let's talk about where we are. So up to this point, when we talk about the current state, we are in a position where there are two options, right? There are multiple things that we're all dealing with, but there are really two options. One, leading while we're going through a crisis, again, leading while we're going through a crisis, or launching a company while we're going through a crisis. That's the place where you may exist. So in my research, most of my clients, as an executive coach, most of my clients are positioning themselves in one or two spaces. Like I said, they're either leading through crisis or they're launching a company through crisis. Now, if I could see everyone, let's say by a show of hands, who is leading during the crisis? And if you're using your raise your hand feature, I would love to see that. And if you can take your camera, put your camera on, I'd be really, really excited to see that. So let's say by a show of hands, how many of you are leading through crisis right now? Leading. Sonia, Siobhan, Tony, Maria. Yeah, we're leading through crisis, right? Cece. Okay, so good. Oh, that's Claudette. I got to get used to this Cece thing, Claudette. So I got to tell you, when you think about whether you're leading, okay, we have to ask ourselves a few big questions about what does it mean to lead when you're in crisis. Now, how many of you feel that even though you are in crisis, whether you're going to take the package or whether you're pushed out of the organization through furlough, how many of you are in a position where you're going to launch a company in crisis? Anyone launch a company in crisis? Alfonso, perfect, good. So we have enough mix so we can have dialogue, and I love that. Okay, so here we go. When we're considering leading through crisis, there are some very specific questions that we're going to ask ourselves, right? So one is, what good can come from this? While you are leading, as a leader, I'm a coach, so I'm gonna always ask questions. What good can come from this crisis? Again, what good can come from this crisis? You can also ask yourself, what good can come from me being a leader in crisis? How can I help the organization? So what good can I add? What value can I add in crisis? The second question, what are new challenges while I'm leading through crisis? What are the new challenges? Okay, that's the second question. A third question, and we're going to talk about these. The third question is, what skills, resources do you have to solve problems? Again, what skills and resources do you have right now? Not ones you have to stretch and get, not ones that you have to go back to school for, not ones you have to take a workshop or training for. What skills and natural gifts and talents and resources do you have access to right now to problem solve while you lead in crisis? And then the next question, what skills and resources do you need to problem? So skills, resources, do you have to problem solve? And now which ones do you need? So the first one is what you have access to right now, what we call low-hanging fruit. I can grab it, I naturally have it, I don't need to go anywhere to get it. I know the people, I can pick up the phone and make a phone call, versus the stretch. What do I have to get skills to do? Where do I have to go? Do I need to go back to school while I'm leading through crisis? Does it require me to have an MBA? Does it require me to get certified in crisis management? These are unique things we have to consider while we're leading through crisis. So what skills and resources do you need versus ones that you have? Now, be mindful, while you are considering the skills you need, you must consider the timeline that it will take for you to acquire the skills while change is happening, okay? Again, if you need to obtain new skills, new certifications, new degrees, how long will it take you before you're relevant, before you're ready to lead in crisis? Is there one more question? I think, is it 4? It's just 4, right?
This is the 4, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, here's the thing. Let's take a step back. For those of you who are leading in crisis right now or through crisis, and you ask yourself any of those questions, I would love for you to dialogue with me and tell me what's coming to mind if you're leading through crisis. What's coming to mind for you?
Anybody going to go first? I don't want to dominate.
So let's see. Anybody? I can't see the chat. Let me see if I can see if someone's chatting something. Okay. We need to put the questions inside of chat for people who can't see. Someone would have to help me out to type the questions and throw them in chat. Someone's asking for those. I'll say them again for those who can't hear. Maria, my apologies. I'm going to try again. I'm not sure where you are on video, but Maria, can you type them up? Okay, let's do that. All right, so now I've given you a few more minutes to think about what it means to lead through crisis. Anything coming up for anyone who is leading right now? There's in this situation where you think about what good can come from your leadership, answer that question. What good can come from your leadership in crisis?
I don't, can you hear me, Towanna?
I can, Alfonso, yes.
Okay, it's Alphonse actually, but it's okay, lifelong thing. Basically what I'm understanding right now more than anything is how strong my network is. The fact that I'm able to reach out and source people to help me in launching, really I'm working on an endeavor that we had a soft launch right as COVID hit. And then I've got something else that I'm working on, and it's just really interesting to see how many of those people overlap in these two different endeavors. And the fact that my network is there, that I can actually pick up a phone, like you said, and get them on the phone and at least engage them as far as business is concerned, and even gauging interest and support.
Okay, so when I ask the question, what good can come from this COVID-19 crisis or this crisis Tell me what good. So you can pick up the phone, you can access your resources. So what good will come out of this?
It reinforced the fact that you can't stop. You can't let anything stop you. You have to find a way, besides all the things that are going on in our life personally and professionally, that you can't let something derail you, depress you, especially something that's beyond your control,
Yes.
so much that you feel defeated.
Right. Now, I'm glad you said that, because that's a perfect example of one of the key things that not only McKinsey research has studied, Forbes has written about. Since we've been in this crisis, one of the #1 things that they talk about is resiliency and efficiency. Being able to say, I have access, I can connect, I can make phone calls, I can grab, I can get. Your ability to be efficient and your ability to be resilient is one of the key things you need during this time as a leader. So what good can come out of it? You increase your resiliency. Your good can come out, you increase your efficiency. What good, you expand your network. Okay, here's the second question I would like anyone to answer. What are the new challenges that you're seeing as a leader? What are the new challenges? Anyone? Any new challenges while you're leading?
Hey, Towanna, the disruption that's occurring across not just the supply chain, but the office environment, period. That whole ecosystem and the dynamics around what is work, where is work, and how do you execute work, there's a significant disruption that's occurring.
Exactly. So what the new challenges are, and again, these are studies that are going on in real time. People are collecting data on all the way we feel. Polls and researchers are going out. As a researcher myself, I understand how important this data is. So as you guys are listening as leaders, understand this: supply chain as well as succession planning. Because when people are laid off or dispersed, you then lose sight of talent. So supply chains, there are going to be gaps in the supply chain. There are going to be gaps in your processes and your procedures. There are going to be gaps. Now, as a leader in crisis, it is your responsibility, if you choose to accept the challenge, to step in and identify the gaps and problem solve for those gaps. That's leading in crisis. For you to study what's happening, look at the gaps, and jump in and become solution-oriented to help your organization solve that problem. Now, what's important is when you think of supply chain or succession planning or automation, right? Those are big challenges right now. Every organization that is sitting in this a crisis right now are all evaluating all of those pieces so that they can become new or to survive is one thing, but to thrive after it's over. So you must consider your leadership approach. Where are you professionally placed where you can identify the gap and become solution-oriented to help your organization win at the end? Okay, that's your challenge. And when you identify whichever challenges they're facing and you're in these meetings, you're hearing it on the news, you're listening to your leaders, they're crying about it, they're complaining about it. Some of them are so lost in their own leadership thought that they're not being efficient or effective. So this is when you decide, how can I help? What can I do? Where's the gap? That is an opportunity. So when we talk about repositioning ourselves, leading in crisis, this is the moment to begin to reposition yourselves for more visibility, to be a problem solver in crisis. Okay. Now, you guys are gonna have to tell me what my time check is because I'm gonna go ahead to the case 2, but I wanna make sure my time, what time do we end? I'm sorry, I didn't ask.
You're good.
I'm good on
Yeah,
time.
we typically go for an hour and a half, so you're very good.
Oh, good. Okay, so then I can ask some more questions regarding the leadership side, right? So let's go a little deeper. So we talked about what good can come from this, what good. Then we talk about what new challenges. Now let's answer the questions for those who are leading in crisis. What skills and resources do you have that you have, okay? Not need, have. What skills do you have right now that can help your organization in this crisis? Anyone? Brag about yourself. Don't be shy because this is not the time to dumb down, fall back. This is when you're supposed to step up and move in. Okay?
Well, I'm a certified crisis manager. So the irony in this thing is looking at the disruptions and where, as you pointed out, where's the automation failing? Where is the supply chain failing? Where's the succession planning? And no business that I've worked with in the Fortune 500 clients or federal or state, no one's planned a pandemic. And evidently this was something that was expected. So there is definitely some short-sightedness around that. And so having that certification, I can go in and address some of the other widgets and gadgets and people management piece. But how do we bring the workforce back into an environment where it really isn't ready, despite how people are crying to get back to work? How are they going to function in that environment?
Yeah. And so what are the smooth transitions? Like what can happen seamlessly, right? Go for the low-hanging fruit. What can happen seamlessly, and then move down to those other things of complexity and crisis management. You know, they're tiers. So we have to then move to next. What can happen, you know, and what are the sticky points of the what's next, right? And you prioritize those, right? So we know that everyone is going through some type of upheaval, right? I mean, just look at us. Here I am, you know, professional. I work from home anyway. I run my company, everyone's completely distributed. I have a 100% distributed workforce, okay? I have clients who were already 100% distributed. So this, having the virtual, didn't disrupt all of those types of clients. But then we didn't consider what happens when you have to homeschool. If you have kids, you may be 100% distributed. You may be used to being efficient with your time at home, but you were not counting for the fact that now you have to homeschool. So now time management looks very different than what it did before, right? So we have some things that we know we can do smoothly, and then those are things that require a little bit more time and attention, but you must prioritize, because whatever need is costing you the most money needs to be addressed immediately. Right? You have to, what they call, stop the bleeding, right? So you have to figure out and prioritize what are the things that can happen in a sequence that would allow us to stop the bleeding, and start with the smooth things, like go with the easy stuff first, because the more complex things are going to cause us to spend more time and resources, right? And sometimes we don't want to do those things, right? And they require more strategy and require more brains to come together to problem solve. So again, this is not a time to not brag about your natural skills and talents, degrees, and qualifications. This is a time where you need to raise your hand and speak up. Because if you care about the organization that you work for, or if you care about your contribution to the organization you work for, then it's time for you to push yourself out and become that problem solver, right? Now, if you say, Towanna, I don't care about them that much, that's fine. That's fine. Then you're not leading through crisis. You're just going with the crisis, okay? So there's a difference. So you don't have to be the one stepping up. That's fine. Everyone to their own. But if you're leading, then this is a time to position yourself, to brag and come out. Now let's talk about the stretch resources. What do we have to stretch to do? So Claudette mentioned she is certified in crisis management. Can we think of any other skill that would be valuable in this season if you are internal to a company, hired, and they want to get a return on their investment from you? They paid for you, they hired you, you've been in that company for who knows how many years. Now they want a return on their investment from you to help them get through this crisis. What is it that you can do that could be a stretch goal that can help them in this crisis? Anyone?
I think risk management's critical, because one of the things they're talking about, putting the workforce back to work, is going to invade some privacy. So you've got to look at not just the short-term gains, but the long-term magnitude. Who wants all their bio data being captured by a company? How is that privacy going to be managed? And then there are other factors of certain amount of demographic data that's just pouring into the market unconstrained through various sources. So there's a lot of risk management that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, crisis management, now risk management. So here's the thing, guys. When you look long term, what we're dealing with now is one thing. But when this song is sung and we're getting to the other side, they're going to be looking for people who are ready to help them prevent this in the future. How can we be ready before the next run? So let's say it doesn't happen for another 10 or 15 years, okay? But because we've already been through this once, someone can push a button and it can happen again. Let's be clear. We're just talking about us, right? Just keep it in family. This is HU family. Let me be honest about this. If we have gone through this level of crisis before and we've been tested to this level, understand every organization is thinking how they can avoid having shutdown and furlough and everything again. They want to be resilient. They want to make sure they can sit back and say, we did not get affected. We wrote the whole thing. We didn't lose any money. Or we were able to keep everybody. They're looking for people to help them at that level. It will not happen again. So risk management, crisis management, anyone else, any other thoughts? What do you think you need beyond this point? Let's think creatively, all right? Earlier, we gave some hints about supply chain, okay? Right now, we have a number of young, talented, bright, young men and women who are enrolled in university. Some of them may want to start considering changing their major, okay? Because this crisis is showing us how to follow money, okay? That's what this is. Now, a lot of them don't understand what that means. So when you say, okay, so follow the money, most of us have followed the .com. Remember when the first .com recession hit? It was a minor recession, but it was still a recession. That .com taught us a whole lot. A lot of people jumped on that after that was over and made more money. So we have to consider, where is the money flowing? We're in crisis. We see we're sitting in a bubble, but after this is done, the dam is going to break. How do we lead our young, talented, bright-minded, young men and women at Howard and say, this is where the money's going. This is where the money's flowing. Do you want to be a part of that stream? And how can you contribute, or what talents and gifts can you contribute to it so that you don't get left behind? So we're talking about supply chain, succession planning. So human resources is still going to be needed, but succession planning, how do you manage talent? Very different than the past, especially when we're coloring America. 2030, the year 2030, we'll have more people of color in the workforce than ever before. If you're tracking, you'll see how much it's happening now. So talent management, recruitment, maintaining quality talent, diverse talent, that's going to still be popular. But automation, digital commerce, you need to start thinking in those lanes. Anything that would allow you to function without being in the office. The automation or e-commerce, digital commerce, artificial intelligence, that's coming, guys. It was already being studied. Everybody was talking about it, but they have advanced the impact of that, okay? Because nobody wants to have the jobs where they can lose half of their workforce overnight and not be able to function. No one wants that anymore. So a ton of research is going to move into artificial intelligence. In fact, MIT is now offering their AI classroom courses. They're up in that marketing. They're pushing people to pay attention to artificial intelligence. Now, one of the studies in my dissertations was about e-commerce and automation and the whole artificial intelligence. Huge study, okay? There's so many people in industries are asking themselves, where does AI fit in my area of business? So I would begin to mentor and support some of our young, bright, and talented who are still in a position where they can make decisions and pivot and think, how do you follow the money during a crisis? Okay, so leadership in crisis also look like you all mentoring and supporting our young, gifted, and Black with making better career decisions as this entire world has shifted. Am I talking too fast?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
I love it. I love the energy.
Okay. So this is so important. So if you're leading through crisis, let's define leadership. Leadership in the organization, leadership in our communities, leadership in our family, leadership in the world. Where do you fall in leadership? The level of impact you want to have in this world let's define what leadership looks like to you. You're not assigned to take on it all, right? So let's talk about what you want to do as a leader in crisis. That is your homework assignment if you are leading in crisis. That's your homework, answering those questions so that you can stay in the flow and come out after the crisis on top. Now I'm going to pause and take any questions, or even anyone provide comment before we go to case study 2. See any mics off?
I will say, Towanna, I am so not a business person, but I want to become one. And this is so eye-opening to me. I love the energy, and it's a huge learning experience. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's great. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, let's so talk about if you're not a business type person, right? What does leadership look like if you're not a business person?
Right.
Towanna, I think the compassion piece of it is critical in this, because there is a lot of empathy that's needed to be able to relate to people regardless of where they are in the spectrum on this. And we're going to have a lot of PSTD after this is over. We're probably having some of it right now as people are
absolutely
trying to cope with the situation. And the expectation is that suicides are going to be up, including our community, which is significant because normally we're kind of trailing. Right now we're going to be on the leading edge. And if you've seen the paper in the past 24 hours talking about where the epicenter for Black community impact is, it's right here in our Howard backyard. It's right here in Maryland. It's places where we're living. And what is it about our demographics? So we need people in healthcare, apply that AI or the machine learning or something to it, and then take other angles. So Maria, you're saying you're not a business person, but you have a social impact component that we probably need to bring people with your background to the table, so the folks who are just AI and business oriented can take another angle and look at this. We're going to need everybody's talent at the table to be able to.
I'm so glad you said that. Exactly. Because I was going to say, Maria, it's not, you're not a business person categorically, but when we're talking about leading through crisis, we're talking about contributing your gifts, talents, knowledge, brilliance, and expertise, no matter what field you come from, to help and support so that you can ride this through and come out on top. Now, perfect example, Claudette, when you were talking about, empathy and contributing. So we have PTSD. Many people have already had PTSD when they lost their homes in the Great Recession of 07-08. They had PTSD from that experience. Now let's roll that all the way over, and we haven't even seen the impact of people losing their jobs and losing their small businesses that paid their mortgages. We haven't seen that yet, but it's coming. So the tragedy and the trauma from 07-08 is going to roll into 2020, 2021, whenever it's deciding that you want to label it, right? Let's just say that. That, again, the emotional health, the mental health, the tragedy that comes with being able to contribute your gifts and talents to help your neighbor. That's what we're talking about, helping our neighbors, helping people in our community so they are winning through crisis, leading through crisis, and giving everything they got to the community that they care for, right? No matter, like, again, if it's your family, the community, the globe, whatever you define, that's impact, right? So Saquon, I think it's Saquon, right? You came on video, so you're gonna say something, right? Unmute yourself, I'd love to hear it.
So I do therapy now. I have my master's in clinical social work, and my end goal is private practice. So I have years down the line before I could start that. How do you really, or how do you actually prepare for things like this? Because I know you mentioned earlier, the button can be pressed at any moment again. So how do you really prepare for things like this or situations or pandemics later on in the future? Because I know, if I'm saying it correctly, Alfonso, he said he's still continuing leading during crisis. But how do you mentally or physically prepare for things like this?
Yeah.
And my end goal is to start a private practice, which is my own business. How do you prepare for things like this?
Yes, cash. Cash is king, no matter what. So here, this is when you get real smart on managing your finances as a small business owner. Because right now, some of my colleagues are cash poor. They have more debt than they have cash. So they're having a hard time figuring out how they're going to ride it. So no matter what practice you're in, no matter what your services is, your business must have cash. So get in the habit today, as you're preparing for the future, of conserving cash and not living through your company. Meaning the lifestyle, just because you have $100,000 in the bank doesn't mean you have to spend $100,000 on yourself. You follow me? So you must live and spend below the means so that you can have cash. Because right now, the reason why so many businesses are suffering is because they did not manage their cash. Also, their profit margin was too low. They did not have enough profit in their services to be able to save and secure cash. You follow me? Because people are moving paycheck to paycheck. You'll be surprised to know how many small business owners are in debt because they don't have the financial literacy. So the first thing I would offer you, my brother, is to make sure you learn how to conserve your cash, because you never want to be dependent on the government to serve you when you could have been serving yourself.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Anybody want to add any supporting points to what I just shared?
I will. Raina, this is Raina speaking. Earlier when you were asking about have we been leading through the crisis, I didn't think of myself as been leading through the crisis, because I'm basically sitting over here in my apartment by myself. But I didn't realize from like a business standpoint, so I've been in my position since January, and I work in higher ed, and my position is about finding different flexible ways that students can do school, really. And it's been interesting just looking at higher ed in this time, because a lot of schools are really like, what are we doing? They don't know if their international students are coming back, come fall. A lot of schools are still doing this sort of traditional delivery model and not, online. And while we're all, scrambling to be online right now, we're still wondering what the fall is going to look like. And so in finding different flexible ways to really deliver classes to students, I saw that the school that I work at, we actually have quite a few courses online in my college. So I'm asking, so why don't we have, online degrees? So if a crisis like coronavirus happens, we could still be moving. And so when I put that out to my supervisors, I mean, they jumped on board real quick. They're like, get on it, do this. We think it's great. So I'm not thinking I'm leading in crisis, but maybe I am.
No, but you are. That's exactly what I mean. So you saw a gap. You referenced something that you knew was true for other universities and places of higher education, and you leveraged that knowledge to help support people who did not have the knowledge. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And so every bit of that counts. Every little thing counts, because sometimes we assume that just because they're big that they know. Just because that they've been functioning for generations, that Howard University, as an example, that they know it all. That's not true. We have a lot of institutionalized knowledge, and we have a lot of institutionalized ignorance, if I may be frank. And the reason that is true, because we don't ask the right questions. And a lot of times the right people are not at the table to answer the questions, okay? So that is exactly what I'm talking about. And here's another one. MOOCs have been around for 10 years. You know what a MOOC is? Okay, that's online learning. It's micro learning, okay? So a MOOC is online learning courses where you can complete them, and it's a community, global community that you can take those classes and you get the certificate of completion. Some of it counts towards degrees and some doesn't. Higher education needs to have the flexibility to saying you just don't have to be in the class. You can absolutely take this class online. So I appreciate that contribution, Raina. That was very good. That's exactly what small and large scale, guys.
And one of the things I'd like to add real quickly, just for folks who aren't recognizing this, the parents who are managing their homes, that is a business. that is having your kids at home where you used to have an ecosystem that had you out of the house and people overlapping and taking care of things, you now have to manage people, not only their activities and maintaining your household, but their emotions.
Oh yeah.
You know, and, you know, I'm blessed that everybody in my household has still got, my income has been impacted, but not to the point where we can't pay bills and things like that. But you're having to manage your money also, and explaining that, you know, to your kids almost like they were staff.
Yes.
You know, right now we can do this, but we can't do all of this simply because it's just a want. And like you said, living within your means and being able to manage your children of all people.
Without a doubt. I concur with all of that, because for those of you who are, you know, sitting in a mental state of saying, I have to do my job, I have to report online, and then I have to homeschool. That's a perfect example of how do you begin to balance, and how do you rise to the occasion so all people are served that you love and you care about. Again, your community is how you defined it. And my son, who's 9, you know, if I had not homeschooled my oldest daughter, who's 20, who'll be 24 this year, if I hadn't homeschooled her before, I would be in a different place. But the experience from homeschooling her during the recession of 07, 08 prepared me for what happened this recession, right? If you want to keep calling it that. So during this crisis, let's call it crisis. So at this stage, it's the sum total of the entire experience that absolutely connects, right? Okay, so I just got my time check. So here's what we're going to do. Case study B is for those individuals who are leading a company during this crisis. Now, the questions are the same. So we spent time working through leading through crisis, but leading a company through crisis, take the same mentality. If you're going to take the package and start a company, ask yourself the same 4 questions. Those are what we call powerful questions, so that you can answer those same 4 questions that I asked the first group, because they are just as important if you are starting a company, right? If you can answer those questions, you're spot on. Because starting a company in the middle of a crisis, so many people sit back and they don't realize the increased number of women who started their businesses since the crisis started. Statistically, I believe it's like 17% increase of women who started companies since the crisis started. Now, we already know that there was an increased number of women already starting companies, but that number has continued to increase even through crisis. Why? Because they see a gap in the market. See how we just go right back to those original questions. What good can come from this, right? What challenges, what are the new challenges? They were saying, I can start a business to solve this problem that we're having right now. That's important for you to have vision, to see what skills and resources you currently have that you can use to identify a challenge and start a business, and now become the answer to an organization that's struggling with those issues. You can start a company, you can begin to be billable to companies by offering crisis management, risk management, supply chain management, succession planning, automation, digital communication. And here's the thing, if you haven't noticed, we have been overwhelmed with information since this crisis started. Online, digital content has been pushed down our throat. Forget the media. People have been advertising, marketing, trying to get you to buy, trying to persuade you to do something, trying to get you to do some of everything right now. People are getting paid still. People are still making money. They follow the money, and they know how you can ride a recession, because there's some businesses that are recession proof. Okay? The same way a funeral home is recession proof. There are some industries that are recession proof. So you must begin to say, like Saquon, how can you ride out the next crisis? 1, cash is king. And 2, what other crisis, what other problem is recession proof? Because mental health is recession proof. People are going to need support and help and need to go through these challenges, and they're going to have support, counseling, social work, mental health, all of those things. So you must analyze, when I look at where we are now, who's paying for services, how are people getting help, and who's paying for it. That's how you find the gap when you're a business owner. Any questions about business? I know that's almost the end of my road here.
Well, this is David Grain. One of the things I've learned from this crisis, and you may have touched on this already, I got in kind of late, but one of the things I've learned is that I need to diversify my my streams of income, because I thought that I was in a recession-proof business. I'm a sound engineer for sporting events, and I always thought that no matter what, people are always going to watch sports. And it's true, people do want to watch it, but whether or not they play is something I hadn't considered. So, you know, my income went from, you know, whatever it was to zero, because, you know, there are no sports going on. So, you know, fortunately I had a little bit of money saved up, but it's not infinite. So, and I like to work. So, you know, one thing that this has taught me is that I need to diversify my portfolio, so to speak.
Yes.
And that's all I wanted to say.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you for contributing that, because that's absolutely the case. Again, all the young minds that are here, for those of you who haven't considered it, that was a huge contribution, because multiple streams of income is important. Like he said, whoever thought, right? So in addition to thinking about what's recession proof, analyzing the gaps, like he said, now David's going to be able to take the knowledge that he's experiencing right now with this crisis and figure out how can he win on the other side of that revenue stream in the event that it shuts down again. How can he turn it to where he can still earn, even if it's not in person? Even, you know, what's the digital? What is the what do you call it? Not human touch, but the virtual. What is it that's missing? Can he create it for his industry? Can he be innovative during this crisis and say, you know what, I can problem solve this and I can innovate while I'm in this season too? So there, I don't know his industry, but that is an opportunity to analyze the gaps and ways that you can problem solve and potentially create a new opportunity in business so that you have multiple streams of income.
I was going to say that I've thought of a way to diversify, you know, through live streaming, but in a situation like this, you don't want to be around other people, you know, because you don't know if someone else is sick, or if you're carrying something and are asymptomatic, and you don't want to make somebody else sick. So it's kind of a, you know, I'm constantly thinking about other ways to diversify, and one of them, like I said, was, you know, live streaming, podcasting, because I have a bit of equipment where I can do that. But
I'd like to suggest something for you, Dave, and Towanna. I know Dave, and great friend. We talk off of this and had a good conversation not too long ago.
Yeah.
One of the things that came to my mind recently, and you and I even talked about, you know, doing a podcast at some point together. Don't mean in our business, but one of the things that I see on Instagram all the time is people singing live and collaborating with other people. And I wanted to know, and you're a good person to talk to, are there virtual recording booths? Is there an app that would let you be in a virtual recording booth? And you could not only start the app, but you could EQ it. You could have somebody step into a virtual room, mic it, and record them, and then they can send it out, share it, or even submit it as a demo. Boom, I'm done.
Yes. I mean, I would think that there are, I mean, just like Zoom, for instance, you could use Zoom. You know, if you have a decent mic on the other side, it'll sound okay. And then you could bring it into a DAW or a digital audio workstation.
But you know that they don't.
Well, I can tell you just by listening to the audio that Dave is using right now. Dave, what kind of mic do you have right now?
It's an AKG performance mic.
Right.
But
So,
I'm a sound engineer, so I would.
no. That's my point. It's that level of knowledge and understanding that how are you able to get those artists to purchase that equipment that would improve the sound? One, they've saved money on going to the studio because you have to rent the studio. So you've just dropped the cost of being in studio, renting studio, and they've just purchased the equipment from you so they can record from home. So you got a package. It's like a bundle. This is the bundle, purchase the bundle. They save hundreds, thousands of dollars off studio time.
Yeah.
Right. And most people don't know what to do when they start. You
Exactly.
are a sound engineer with decades of experience and all kinds of people who are willing to step forward and say, you've got integrity, professional acumen, blah, 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 blah. So you could tell them to start out, this is the mic that you need. This is how you would position it virtually. You can give virtual online courses on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I need half, Dave. I need half.
I could have helped out Teddy Riley quite a bit.
Oh,
Yep.
That was a big mess.
Not just entertainment though, Dave. There's a whole corporate segment that's about to get disrupted. My consulting firm just put up a whole new training facility in Orlando because they would bring thousands of people together. They're not going to be able to do that anymore.
The soundstage concept, yes. So Dave, there's a whole bunch of companies that invested in what they call sound stages for that purpose, because they want people to be able to come in and have high quality sound and video for training and etc. So now those places are empty as we speak. And so Claudette is right. So that is when they receive those bundles and those packages and they invest and people have that equipment at home. And so it's just a matter, you see what we just went through is basically an accelerator process, business accelerator, where you are actually contributing your problem and all the combined minds are now helping you based on what they know about what you've shared, help you problem solve and create and innovate.
Teach one.
Right. And the accelerator process is everybody willing to contribute without filters, without worry about intellectual property, is freely contributing thought leadership, crisis management, critical understanding, whatever you want to call it, project management skills, into a moment so that everybody can win.
Sounds like you need to talk to Claudette.
Yeah.
It's funny because since this crisis, I think I've helped people, about 5 different businesses, to get relaunched within the past couple of months. So I think, Towanna, your concept of us doing a business accelerator might be something that we might want to put together as a Capstone team.
I'm telling you guys, the variety of knowledge, the expertise. I mean, I think Sonia said she was in engineering, right? So I think she was an ME or something like that. I think I heard. So look, the diversity of knowledge and the ability to problem solve based on your specialty is very different. So you have a creative way of problem solving and a scientific way of problem solving, right? So all of that contributing when everybody has their own individual goal, but everybody's contributing to help someone problem solve. It's huge, and you see how quickly it can happen. The only thing Dave needs to know now is how much is it going to cost, and is anybody going to help invest? That's the way it goes at that point. And everybody decides, okay, so what does the investment strategy look like? So that we can advance this and help him move faster to the marketplace. So he can be one of the first to jump into the marketplace, right? And so that's how this works. So this is how we lead through crisis. This is how you launch through crisis. We're demonstrating it right now.
And Dave is perfect. He's got a very calm demeanor, very professional. It takes, I don't ever recall ever, Dave, seeing you really, really upset, personally or professionally, like losing your cool.
It happens every once in a while.
Never seen it. I've known you for 30 years. I ain't never seen it. 40, oops. But really, I mean, you're the kind of professional that these people are looking for. Somebody who doesn't get flustered as first point of contact, but you know everything. So you're really the kind of person they're looking for. And I just wrote your recommendation. So, like this business accelerator is beautiful. So,
Yeah.
Hey,
Dave, there's a lot of schools, undergraduate, high schools, that are missing a graduation. They need a speaker. They need somebody to give them that closure that they completed the academic period.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know? So people are doing all kinds of things to highlight, here is my child who's completed this journey. You could start something, making it a journey. Give folks that opportunity to say, here, we can put together a production for you. And just like we're Zooming right now, they can Zoom to graduation. They're gonna do something.
Yeah. So thank you all first for contributing. I mean, this is exactly what I love. I love engagement. I love being able to coach in the moment. And so I really love the contributions. I want to thank you all for it. So let me just share a little bit about, again, just briefly what Coach Diversity is doing on the campus of Howard University. So we, Coach Diversity, we not only provide executive coaches for one-on-one within companies and, you know, small and large, but we also certify in the coaching skill set. And so what I do, we have the only coaching certification company that uses the diversity, equity, and inclusion framework, learning framework in the certification process for coaching. We're the only ones. And we have been fortunate to partner with the School of Business to offer the certification, working with Dean Harvey and the rest of the team up there on campus. And so the upcoming class is now virtual. And so if you know anyone who's interested in the coaching skill set and want to know more about it, have them visit us at coachdiversity.com. Again, that's coachdiversity.com, and the information is on our site. And you are welcome to reach out to me also. I'm on LinkedIn, Towanna Burrous on LinkedIn, and you're more than welcome to friend me on LinkedIn and connect, and we can continue the conversation. I'm very open, I'm very giving. So feel free to reach out if you have any more questions you want to ask about any of the concepts that we discussed now or something else that may be on your mind. I'll be happy to connect.
Great. So if you all want to continue this dialogue, you know, long past this evening, please go to coachdiversity.com and learn more about Dr. Towanna Burrous. Dr. Towanna Burrous, I want to thank you for an excellent presentation. We're going to, and please feel free to hang around. We're going to conduct a short poll. We're going to also take care of some Capstone Group business. So let's see.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Towanna. We loved it. It was fantastic. We so appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
And so, Raina, you're up next.
Yes, so thank you, Towanna. Thank you, Dr. Burrous. I think she's gone. Okay. So we invite you to become a member of the Capstone Group. The Capstone Group membership is for alumni, faculty, staff, and community, essentially the Howard University stakeholders. Your membership will include participation in the annual Capstone meeting, a vote in the Capstone general election, the quarterly e-newsletter, and discounted admission to events. We also have monthly events right here on this platform, much like tonight's wonderful conference call with Dr. Burrous. Our content is always informative, it's enlightening, it's engaging, and it gives us the opportunity to learn about the impact our alum are making locally, nationally, and globally. Finally, half of our donations go to scholarships and grants. So if you want to be a part of this collaborative effort with like-minded progressive individuals who are invested in and care about Howard University just as much as you do, then we encourage you to join our organization by visiting www.hucapstonegroup.com. Also, we are looking for volunteers. If you are skilled in the area of social media, know a thing or two about event promotion, if you have knowledge and skills related to the Zoom platform, or if you would just like to assist us with administrative tasks, we are looking for you. In fact, we need you. So please email us at mecaminded@gmail.com if you would like to volunteer. Also, you can donate today to our Capstone scholarships for HU students and Capstone grants for HU faculty. Your donation can assist students in their college matriculation, whether that be through, their purchase of an ebook or maybe offsetting some fees. Your donation can also assist faculty in the area of their expertise, conducting research, or even helping them supporting students for research. So if you would like to donate, you can donate right now at hucapstonegroup.com. Good, now we have upcoming events by Dr. Velma LaPointe.
Good evening, everyone, and thank Dr. Burrous for that phenomenal presentation information. Her sites I will post on my classroom websites. So for the upcoming events, first of all, on Wednesday, April 29th, another Zoom meeting. It will be the inaugural board meeting of the Capstone Institute. Information has already been mailed to our members. All dues-paying members are welcome to attend this meeting, and you can become a dues-paying member today. That meeting will be this coming Wednesday on the 29th at 6:30 p.m. The next event that Capstone will host will be a book discussion by William Damani Keene. Damani Keene was the former director of residence life at Howard University. He and his wife, Carol Ife King, have written a family memoir called The Times and Life of Mariah O.T. Reddick. And that event will be hosted again on Zoom on May 18th at 6:30 p.m., just like we have now. Under ordinary circumstances, after this event, Capstone would have been engaged in planning a back-to-school event in August or September, held in collaboration with one of our community members, the Sankofa Video Book and Cafe Store, as well as planning a homecoming event, a reception and event in October. But given the times that we're in, we've had to put a pause on that planning. You will be able to reach Capstone through several platforms. On Facebook, we would go to Mecca Minded, the Capstone Group. For Twitter, hashtag Mecca Minded. Instagram at the Capstone Group. Our website, www.hucapstonegroup.com. Up there, and one other one, of course, our website, our email address, meccaminded@gmail.com.
I want to thank everyone for participating in this wonderful and informative panel. And hopefully you will, if you're not a member already, will join the Capstone Group. And if you're still on the fence, just keep tuning into the Zoom conferences. I think that I'm pretty confident that we will end up recruiting you. And I also like to welcome our new officers and board members for the HU Capstone Group. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Can I just
bye-bye, everyone.
I have a round of thank yous for all who attended, to Towanna Burrous, our guest, to all of the Capstone core members, to Raina Coxum for contributing in the way that you did, volunteering, to Adrian Waters for helping us with the pre-production. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you on May 18th for William Damani Keene and Ife King. All right.
Maria, just one other item. We put together what we're calling a toolkit to help navigate the shift. And if you're interested, and reach out to us through the Mecca Minded, we'll provide that access for links to information that you can have about marketplace trends, resources for employment, and information about interviewing should you have a need. So we'll make that available on request.
And special thank yous to Claudette Johnson-Berry and Shawande Towanna for jumping in and just navigating the whole Zoom world for us. So thank you so much.